Welcome on in, you rascals. It's Tobin here with you, and thanks for checking out the channel. I hope you're doing well there. If you guys could subscribe, that'd be great. Appreciate you stopping by. It is a Wednesday. We'll be boots on the ground tonight after the radio show today. Looking forward to that. Looking forward to a Heat Warriors game that doesn't appear like it's going to have a lot of animosity on it, to be honest with you. It doesn't even feel like we're going to get Jimmy Butler and or Steph Curry in this game. I got to be honest with you. We talked about this last week. ESPN had dropped this game. It kind of feels like this has been in the works for a week plus now that the Warriors weren't going to play. I may be dead wrong in the span of it's 9:30 a.m. right now, so I may look foolish at 7:30 p.m. and Jimmy Butler and Steph Curry will be out there. But Steph Curry tweaking his ankle the last couple of games. He's been sick. They've had 3 games in 4 nights, back-to-back. They just played in Orlando. They lost last night in Orlando. Feels very much like he's not going to give it a go. And then you have Steve Kerr, who not only went on KNBR, the San Francisco sports radio station, the Warriors flagship. He went on this whole thing about the Miami. He mentioned the Miami game specifically about how like this was their craziest time. I don't remember the exact numbers of it, but he's like, that would be our, I think, 13th city in so many days. He's like, this is the craziest start to a schedule I've ever been in. And then yesterday, because we have a lot of injuries that are popping up in the NBA, which I get it, that it unfortunately has become like the big storyline everywhere. And I don't have an explanation for it. The Heat have dealt with their own injuries. Tyler Hero's dealing with a foot. Bam Adebayo has a toe sprain. So obviously they've been bit by this too. Basketball is being played at a breakneck pace. I don't really know what the answer for it is because of how fast the game is moving. If that's the answer, I'm sure all of this stuff has an answer. We don't have really good answers for a lot of this stuff. I think guys probably are being run into the ground playing at these crazy pace. You look at the guy who never misses games, like Nikola Jokic, and Joker plays, it doesn't look like anybody else, and plays it his own way and seems like he's holding up just fine because he's going to play the game at his own pace. I don't know what the answer is. And the interesting thing with Wembanyama, he's got the calf strain, and the word is he feels fine. It's just that's become now the thing. Oh, calf strain. It's almost like it's become like in baseball, like when your elbow's sore. Well, you're like, oh, we're not going to Tommy John your ass, so we need to be careful with this. So I say all this because then he so he goes on this whole diatribe, and Steve Kerr's not one to shy away from putting big picture stuff out there. It just felt like the groundwork is being laid for no one's playing today. I don't say that to get you on the end of gambling because I don't know. I don't know that for a fact, but it feels like at the very least Steph Curry's not playing. Jimmy Butler, look, if he doesn't play, he doesn't play. Whatever. Is it a bad look if he doesn't play? I mean, it is what it is. I think that if I were Jimmy Butler and you're Mr. Competitive and you like to prove people wrong and throw double birds up at everybody, I think you should muster up and play. I think that is the prudent thing to do, especially if Steph's not going to go. But they are an older team. They do have a long road ahead. I don't feel like this way quite like that. People say, oh, Tobes, you went crazy on the Cavaliers thing. And I said this at the time. I just want to be clear, which, by the way, I have been vindicated, and I will talk about this on the radio show today. I said this at the time. I didn't have a problem with you. I don't have a problem with teams resting one guy on a back-to-back. I get it. It's a long season. It happens. My bigger issue was they rested not only Donovan Mitchell, but Evan Mobley as well. And Evan Mobley's 23, 24 years old. He's spry. He's been in the same city all week. Like, you need to rest everybody. Like, I didn't understand the point of it. Now, Kenny Atkinson has an enemy for life in me because I ultimately won the war because they did beat the Heat with their stars sitting out. So he won the battle, but I won the war because they lost to the Raptors the next day and Evan Mobley was terrible. And now they've been fined $100,000. So I say all that to lead to believe, look, it seems very much like Steph Curry's not going to play. I'm just guessing. And it feels like Jimmy Butler might not play which I don't like, but whatever. The bigger news, honestly, is Bam Adebayo feels like he's making his comeback, and that's awesome. I'm very curious to see what Eric Spoelstra is going to do with the starting lineup because, Kelel Ware's been playing great. He was staggering early in the season, and Kelel was coming off of the bench. They started the year, they went Jovic. Jovic, not had a great year, ends up moving to the bench, and honestly, that's been dictated a little bit more by Jaime. The thing with, I had a lot of scattered thoughts today. I had a big coffee, sorry. Not cocaine. But the starting lineup was with Jovic. Then they ended up, of course, going a little bit smaller. They bring in Pella. And eventually when Tyler comes back, you're going to wonder, all right, are we going to just, is that Pella spot going to be Tyler's spot? Or do we just have Bam slip in there, play with Kelel, and we see how that goes? You play a little bit bigger, especially against a team like the Warriors, doesn't have a ton of size. And you could be in a position where, you can kind of build off this Kelel thing, which, yes, did not have good numbers this year, did have decent numbers last year. And, you can kind of see how that all works out. I think I'm in favor of that. I think I'm in favor of going that direction right now, rather than and riding the momentum of Kelel Ware and having Bam out there in for Pella than I am just swapping out Bam for Kelel. If they do swap out Bam for Kelel, I'm kind of curious to see what that does for the playing time of Nico, because I think the argument could be made Nico needs to earn back some playing time based on how he's playing. I would like to also play him through this, but if that is the case and you're going to argue who deserves to lose playing time over how they've been playing, yeah, I can't really argue for Jovic. I know people think that I always get this when I have players that I buy stock in or support, which, by the way, is all of the players because I'm a Heat fan. But people always I found it weird, after the last game, Jovic stunk. We couldn't just celebrate the win. I haven't also been pumping Kelel Ware's tires the entire time. But I get it. Jovic, dude. I can say, yeah, Jovic needs to get it together. And the thing that I want him to get together the most is, honestly, more than turnovers right now, more than scoring, getting the shooting together. He's got to stop fouling. He's got to stop the dumb fouls. He's got to play with a little bit more emotional control. It's a fine line because, I know I've talked to him about, wanting to bring that emotional chip that he has in when he plays for Serbia. But, for right now, he's in a bit of a funk. He's had the one great game and he's had the awesome pass, but it's been very helter-skelter with him. So they got to figure that out for sure. And speaking of turnovers and taking care, I watched Kasparas Jakučionis last night play for the Sioux Falls Skyforce, who had a much, much better game than they did against the Windy City Bulls. And I know I got a tweet that somebody says, you're a sicko. Because I tweeted out yesterday, and I got to be honest with you, I feel a little bit like a mush. I should have just shut the hell up. But Jakučionis ends up finishing the game with 14 points. I think they got a final box score that was right. This was a very frustrating thing yesterday because the G League box score and the game that was going on was way off because they had Kasparas up at halftime with no buckets made, and I saw a wave where he made 3 baskets in a row. So I tweet out in the middle of the game, man, Kasparas is starting to heat up. He had a scoreless, not a scoreless first half, but he only had, I think, a free throw, which G League's weird. You make 1 free throw for 2 points. They like to move it along, which I like. But he started off the game, couple of terrible turnovers. I think maybe, and I was like, ugh. And they both led to baskets. And that for right now is definitely his biggest issue because he's got 10 in 2 games. And he isn't really having a lot of success playing in getting buckets in a crowded paint. His shot looks good. He made a 3 yesterday. So he had this area where he had a 3 to get him going. Then he had a nice drive to the basket, probably his best play, and he got an and one. And then Dane Danger, who had a nice game yesterday, set him up for an easy cut straight to the basket. And so Kasparas went bang, bang, bang. And so that's when I tweeted out that he was heating up, and I don't think he scored. I think he scored one more time the rest of the game. So my bad. I will wear the mush crown on that one. But, from my standpoint, he didn't also play very much yesterday. And, Coach Dan Bisacchio had to ride with the guys that were playing well. And I think that's a good thing with the Heat is they're going to make you still earn it, even as a first-round pick. He didn't play much in the fourth quarter. I think I've ventured to say he played. I don't have the splits, but I remember keeping a watching, and I was like, all right, is he coming in? Is he coming in? And no, he honestly, Coach Dan stuck with Gabe Madsen, who was having a nice game. The guy who killed it yesterday for the Miami Heat was Ethan Thompson. Ethan Thompson was an absolute demon out on the court for the Sioux Falls Skyforce, who ended up falling to the Cleveland Charge. Second game in a row I've watched, we have a great former Cane playing for a G League team. Nor Chadomir, baby food, was out there playing. He had 24 points, 5 rebounds. He was 9 of 15. Love Nor Chadomir, dude. Love him. So we have Wooga Poplar, and we had Nor Chadomir. So that was really, really cool. But anyway, Kasparas' final numbers. He finished with 14 points. He was 4 of 11, 1 of 4 from downtown, 3 of 3 from the free throw line, but I think 2 of those were for 2 points and then one of them was an and one. That's a little bit of a weird thing they got to fix on the box score with these things. 5 rebounds, 2 assists, 4 turnovers, 1 steal. And he also got a technical yesterday. He also got he this is the second game in a row he got really furious with the referees, and he got teed up in this game. And I think, if I'm not mistaken, let me see when that was. I got my notes here. I think after he got teed up, that was at 110, 109. I don't remember. I think that might have been when Coach Dan just sat him down for the rest of the game. So he might have given him hey, dude, you got to, let me see. Let me confirm. Look at me going through G League play-by-play like a real crazy person. 110, 109. Let me see. Yeah. I actually seen it now. I don't think he played in the fourth quarter, now that I'm looking at it. He got a technical foul at the end of the third quarter, which put Cleveland up 1. And then I don't think he played the rest of the fourth quarter, actually. Now that I'm seeing it, that's definitely what happened. He got teed up at the end of the third quarter, and Coach Dan Bisacchio benched his ass in the fourth quarter for yakking at the referees too much because he thought he got hacked, and it's the second game in a row he's done that. So ultimately for the Heat's first-round pick, it hasn't been an awesome start. Mind you, he hasn't played much basketball since the preseason, and he's 19 years old. There's going to be some growth. There's going to be some growing pains. I think the three-point shot, even with the numbers, I think it looks good. I think he's getting that off whenever he wants. I do think that he looks pretty smooth with it. I think that that's going to be something they develop in him just fine. It's that he likes to play physical, and now he's kind of getting that all right, but everybody's gunning for you. Everybody's playing. Knowing you're the first round pick out there, and you got a little bit of a target on your back, and so people are swatting his stuff at the rim. They're not letting him get any freebies, and he's got to take care of the basketball better. But yeah, it hasn't been an awesome start for Kasparas' G League stint, and that's okay. That's okay. He's working through these things, but that is where it's at right now with the Miami Heat's first round pick. So got the Warriors tonight. Got Bam Adebayo likely returning, which is Goosey's friggin' galore. We'll see what the starting lineup is. We'll see if Jimmy Butler has the stones to play today, or if this has all been in the work. It felt like the red flare was as soon as ESPN scratched the game and you looked at the schedule, you're like, they probably got the warning from the Warriors. Hey, take us off this. We don't want to get fined. Go find another game. It feels like this plan has been in the works, and then you add on top of it the nagging injuries that Steph has to play. If I had to it feels like Steph Curry's like a 95% ain't gonna play. And Jimmy Butler, I'm going to put it 50-50 because I don't know. Like, there's part of me that's like Jimmy Butler kind of probably feels like he should. But I will say, the one thing I'll say left on Jimmy Butler before I close it out here is it doesn't – the answers yesterday from Spo, the answers yesterday from Bam, the answers yesterday from Jaime, it feels very much like they're throwing cold water on this stuff and they don't want to make this a thing. They're ready to move on. Spo said, how many games? He's like, I can't say that there's not going to be emotion because I'm sure, Spo's got a little putty in him. But how many games do we have to play before it's not a story? And the answer is, I don't know what the answer to that is. I think it's always going to be a lingering thing because of how negative the ending was. Bam takes everything in stride. I definitely think Bam's ready to move on. Those two were very frosty, though, the last game. I mean, these are guys who played a long time together, and they were warming up the same time on the court, and they barely looked. I don't even think they looked at each other in that last game. And obviously, the Heat kicked the crap out of the Warriors. Steph Curry also didn't play in that game, so this sucks. It might be the second trip to Miami in a row we don't get to watch Steph Curry. But it's which would actually be an interesting question for people who have Warriors. I know there's gonna be a ton of kids wearing Steph Curry jerseys, but if you could only pick one to play today, would it be Jimmy Butler or would it be Steph Curry? Because Steph Curry is like one of the best watches in the sport. Doesn't matter what. You're watching greatness. But obviously the Jimmy thing is drama. So that might be a radio topic for me today. But either way, it feels like the Heat are downplaying it. I don't think Jimmy really answered very much about it yesterday. And if he doesn't play today, I don't think he'll really answer much about it. He said what he said. But it kind of feels like the Warriors are ducking out on this one. And so that means the Heat better take care of business.